Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
A classic.
Yeah, it really is. We received some excerpts from you guys.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I'm excited to kind of unpack this together because this book, it's all about personal freedom and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something we can all get behind, right?
For sure.
But it starts with this really fascinating concept
that
Ruiz calls domestication.
Interesting.
So basically, it's looking at how much of who we are is really us, and how much has been shaped by the world around us.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you start thinking about it.
It is.
So let's get into it. Ruiz draws a lot from the Toltec wisdom tradition.
Right.
For those who may not be familiar, can you give us a little background on that?
Sure. So the Toltecs were an ancient Mesoamerican civilization known for their deep spiritual understanding.
Yeah.
They viewed reality, and this is really interesting, like a smoky mirror.
A smoky mirror. What does that mean?
Right. So it's like we're seeing the truth, but it's distorted, clouded by our beliefs and the agreements we've inherited.
I see. So it's not that we're not seeing reality.
Right.
It's that we're seeing it through this kind of filter.
Exactly. And Ruiz argues that this filter is largely created through our domestication.
Ah, okay. So that brings us back to domestication.
It does.
So how does that work? I mean, how are we domesticated?
Well, think about it. From the moment we're born, we're given these rules and expectations.
Like a book of law we didn't write.
Precisely.
But we're told we have to follow it.
Yes. And if we don't, there are consequences.
Punishments, rewards, the whole shebang.
Exactly. So we learn to seek approval, validation from outside of ourselves.
Instead of trusting our own inner compass.
Right. And that's how we end up living someone else's dream instead of our own.
This is starting to make a lot of sense.
Good.
But it also kind of makes me feel a little trapped.
I understand.
Like if we're all just products of this domestication, then how do we break free? How do we become who we're truly meant to be?
That is the million-dollar question, and that's where the four agreements come in.
Okay, so these agreements are like the key to unlocking that freedom.
They offer a path, a way to start dismantling that smoky mirror.
And reclaiming our true selves.
Precisely.
I'm ready to dive into these agreements.
Me too.
But before we do, I think it's important to acknowledge that this idea of domestication, it's not about blaming anyone or feeling like a victim.
Wow, not at all.
It's about understanding how we got here.
Right.
And then taking responsibility for creating a different future for ourselves.
A future where we are free to be who we truly are.
Exactly. So let's start with the first agreement. What does it mean to be impeccable with your word?
Well, it's about recognizing the power of our words. Ruiz argues that words can literally create or destroy.
Wow.
Cast spells, break spells, they hold immense power.
So it's not just about being polite or avoiding gossip.
It goes deeper than that. It's about being mindful of every word we speak.
Even the words we say to ourselves.
Especially those. Because our self-talk can be our biggest critic.
True.
So being impeccable means choosing words that uplift and inspire.
Both for ourselves and for others.
Exactly. It's like we're casting a spell with every word we utter.
So why not make it a spell of love?
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it makes you realize how often we just throw words around carelessly.
We do. It's almost like we've become our own worst enemies with our language.
Right. And then we wonder why we feel so stuck or unhappy.
It's all connected.
Okay, so be impeccable with your word. That's agreement number one.
Yes.
Let's move on to the second agreement. Don't take anything personally.
Now, this one can be a real challenge.
I can imagine. Especially for someone like me who tends to, overthink things.
I hear you. But it's also incredibly liberating once you start to grasp it.
So how do we not take things personally? I mean, it's human nature to feel hurt or offended sometimes.
It is. But Ruiz argues that what other people say and do, it's more about them than it is about us.
How do you mean?
Everyone is living in their own dream, their own reality.
Okay.
And their words and actions are simply a projection of that reality.
So if someone says something hurtful to me,
right,
it's not really about me at all.
Not necessarily. It's about their beliefs, their insecurities, their own internal struggles.
So I shouldn't take it to heart.
It's not about becoming indifferent or uncaring.
Okay.
It's about building a shield.
A shield?
Yes, a shield of awareness. Recognizing that other people's opinions don't define our worth.
That's a powerful image.
It is. And it's a practice.
A practice of letting go.
And reclaiming our power.
I like that.
Good.
Okay, so we've got be impeccable with your word and don't take anything personally.
2 powerful agreements.
And I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
It's like each agreement is about taking back control.
Yeah. Control over our thoughts, our words, our reactions.
Absolutely. It's about becoming the conscious creators of our own lives.
Instead of letting the world dictate how we feel and who we are.
Exactly. That's the essence of it.
All right, well, we're on a roll, so let's keep going. What's the third agreement?
Don't make assumptions.
Oh, that's a good one. I think we're all guilty of this from time to time.
It's so easy to do, isn't it?
Especially in this day and age.
With social media and all the information overload.
Right. We jump to conclusions.
We fill in the blanks with our own interpretations.
And then we create all this drama and conflict in our heads.
Exactly. And often it's completely unnecessary.
So how do we avoid making assumptions?
Ruiz encourages us to ask questions.
Okay.
Communicate clearly. Don't try to be a mind reader.
Yeah, that never ends well.
No, it doesn't.
It's like we need to rewrite this script entirely.
I love that analogy.
From assumptions to open dialogue.
Yes, that's the key.
Okay, so don't make assumptions. Simple, but not always easy to practice.
Definitely something to work on.
All right, we've got one more agreement to go. What's the fourth one?
Always do your best.
Now, this one might seem a little, I don't know, obvious.
It might seem that way on the surface.
But I'm sure there's more to it than meets the eye.
There always is with Ruiz.
So tell me, what does it really mean to always do your best?
Well, first of all, it's important to understand that our best is not a fixed point.
What do you mean?
Our best will vary from day to day,
Okay.
from moment to moment, depending on our energy levels, our circumstances.
Even our mood.
Exactly. So it's not about striving for some unattainable standard of perfection.
Ah, I see.
It's about showing up fully in each moment and giving whatever we have to give.
So some days our best might be running a marathon.
And other days it might be just getting out of bed.
Right. It's about meeting ourselves where we're at.
And honoring that.
Without judgment.
Without self-criticism.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this one fits in with the other agreements.
They all build upon each other.
It's about releasing the pressure to be perfect.
Yes.
And instead, focusing on effort and intention.
And enjoying the process.
Yeah, that's important too, right?
Absolutely.
Not just being fixated on the outcome.
Enjoying the journey.
All right, so we've covered all 4 agreements.
We have.
And I have to say, they're pretty profound when you really start to think about them.
They are. And they can be life-changing if we put them into practice.
But, I have to ask.
What's that?
Ruiz doesn't present these agreements as, rigid rules, right?
No, not at all. He sees them more as tools.
Tools for what?
Tools for personal transformation.
I like that. Because it takes the pressure off a bit.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
And growth.
And self-discovery.
So it's okay to stumble along the way.
Of course. We're all human.
We're going to mess up. We're going to fall short.
It's inevitable.
But the important thing is to keep going.
To keep practicing.
To keep coming back to these agreements.
Exactly.
And using them as a guide.
A guide on our journey towards freedom and happiness.
I love that. And I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Sounds good to me.
We've covered a lot of ground in this initial exploration of the 4 agreements.
We have.
But there's still so much more to unpack.
There is.
So stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
After a quick break.
With more insights from Don Miguel Ruiz's powerful work.
And we'll delve deeper into the Toltec wisdom tradition.
And explore how these agreements can help us break free from our domestication.
And create a life of greater peace.
Love.
And authenticity.
We'll see you soon.
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the 4 agreements.
Now, before the break, we were talking about domestication and that smoky mirror. It's such a powerful image,
It is. It really captures that sense of distortion that can cloud our perception of reality.
And it made me realize just how much we're influenced by the world around us, those external forces shaping our beliefs and behaviors.
It's a process that starts from childhood. Those rules, expectations, the judgments we absorb.
And Ruiz gives some really vivid examples in the book that I think we can all relate to.
Like that story of the little girl who is told she has an ugly voice.
Yeah, that one really stuck with me. One careless comment, planting a seed of self-doubt that can last a lifetime.
It's heartbreaking. And it highlights how those early experiences, those messages we receive, can shape our self-perception for years to come.
It makes you wonder how many of us are walking around carrying those invisible scars, those limiting beliefs we've internalized, without even realizing it.
And that's where the 4 agreements come in. They offer a way to challenge those beliefs, to start questioning the validity of that book of law we've been handed.
So it's not about dwelling on the past or blaming those who might have contributed to our domestication.
No, it's about taking responsibility for our own transformation, for rewriting those agreements that no longer serve us.
So let's revisit those agreements, starting with be impeccable with your word.
Now, this agreement goes beyond just avoiding gossip or being polite.
It's about understanding the power of our words to create or destroy, to uplift or to tear down.
And it's not just about the words we speak to others, but also the words we speak to ourselves.
Our inner dialogue, that constant chatter in our minds.
Which can often be filled with self-criticism and judgment.
It's like we become our own worst enemies.
Right. So being impeccable with our word means choosing words that nourish our souls, words that inspire and empower.
Words that align with our highest selves.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about don't take anything personally. This one, I think, can be a real challenge for a lot of people.
It can be, especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with information and opinions.
It's so easy to feel triggered, to take things to heart, to personalize everything.
But Ruiz reminds us that other people's actions and words are a reflection of their own reality, their own beliefs and experiences.
It's like everyone is the star of their own movie, and we're all just extras passing through.
Exactly. So when someone says or does something that hurts us, it's not necessarily about us. It's about their own internal struggles, their own projections.
It's about their journey, not ours. So this agreement is about developing a sense of detachment, a shield of awareness that allows us to observe without absorbing the negativity.
And it's not about becoming cold or indifferent.
It's about protecting our own emotional well-being, recognizing that we can't control how others behave, but we can control how we respond.
It's a practice of letting go, of surrendering the minute to be right or to seek validation from external sources.
So, moving on to the third agreement, don't make assumptions.
Yes. This one is particularly relevant in today's world of instant judgments and social media.
We're so quick to fill in the blanks with our own interpretations, to jump to conclusions without seeking clarity.
And that can lead to all sorts of misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict.
So how do we break this habit of making assumptions?
Ruiz encourages us to ask questions, to seek clarification, to communicate openly and honestly.
It's about moving from mind reading to heart-to-heart conversations.
Exactly. Replacing assumptions with understanding, fostering transparency and trust in our relationships.
And finally, let's talk about always do your best.
Now, this agreement might seem a bit simplistic at first glance, but it holds a lot of wisdom.
It's about recognizing that our best will fluctuate from day to day, even from moment to moment.
Some days our best might be extraordinary. Other days it might be simply getting out of bed and facing the day.
It's about releasing the pressure of perfectionism and embracing self-compassion.
And it's about celebrating our efforts, no matter how small they might seem.
So it's not about comparing ourselves to others or striving for some external standard of achievement.
It's about honoring our own unique journey, our own individual capacity, and striving to show up fully in each moment.
So these four agreements, when you really start to unpack them, they're not just about changing our behaviors.
It's about shifting our entire perspective, our way of being in the world.
It's about moving from a place of fear and self-doubt to a place of love, acceptance, and personal power.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose the agreements that shape our reality, to rewrite the book of law that has been limiting us.
It's a profound and empowering message.
And it's a journey that requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
But the rewards, as Ruiz suggests, are immeasurable.
Greater peace, deeper joy, more fulfilling relationships.
A life lived in alignment with our true selves. So much wisdom packed into these deceptively simple agreements.
Right. They really are deceptively simple.
Like on the surface, you think, okay, be impeccable with your word. I kind of get that.
Yeah.
Don't take things personally. That makes sense. Don't make assumptions. Pretty straightforward.
Right.
Always do your best. Like, duh, of course.
Seems obvious.
But then when you really start to explore the depths of each agreement.
Exactly.
And how they all connect and interweave.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
It is. It really is. And you realize just how profound and transformative they can be.
If we let them.
Exactly. If we're willing to do the work.
Because it is work, isn't it?
It is. It's an ongoing practice.
A lifelong journey.
But it's a journey worth taking.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the destination, as Ruiz paints it, is a life of true freedom and happiness.
And that's something we all yearn for, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, who doesn't want to experience more peace, more joy, more fulfillment in their lives?
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listener with something tangible, something they can take away and apply in their own lives.
Sounds good.
So from your perspective, what's the most valuable insight someone can gain from the 4 agreements?
I think the biggest takeaway is the realization that freedom and happiness, they're not external things.
They're not something we find out there in the world.
Right. They're not dependent on our circumstances or other people's validation.
It's an inside job.
It is. It's about taking responsibility for our own thoughts,
Our words,
our actions.
and choosing the agreements that empower us rather than limit us.
And that's a radical shift in perspective for a lot of people.
It is. It's like we've been conditioned to believe that happiness is something we have to chase
Or earn.
or achieve.
But Ruiz is saying, no, it's already within you,
It's a matter of uncovering it.
of remembering who you truly are,
And that starts with awareness.
becoming aware of those limiting beliefs and patterns that are running on autopilot in the background.
Those old agreements we've been blindly following.
The book of law that no longer serves us.
And then it's about having the courage to challenge those beliefs.
To question their validity.
To say, wait a minute, who says I have to believe this?
And then to start replacing those old agreements with new ones.
Ones that are aligned with our true selves.
Agreements rooted in self-love
Authenticity.
and personal power.
It's like we're given a chance to rewrite our own story,
I love that analogy.
to create a new narrative for our lives.
One that is filled with greater peace and fulfillment.
And the 4 agreements offer a framework
A set of guiding principles.
to help us do just that.
It's not a quick fix.
No,
It's not a magic formula.
it's a lifelong practice.
A commitment to personal growth.
To evolution,
To showing up each day.
doing our best.
And being kind to ourselves when we stumble.
Because we will stumble, right?
We're all human.
We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall short.
It's inevitable
But the important thing is to keep going,
to not give up on ourselves.
to keep coming back to these agreements.
And remembering the truth they hold.
The truth that we have the power to choose,
To create.
to become the best versions of ourselves.
This deep dive has been such a rich exploration of these transformative ideas.
It really has.
And I hope our listener is feeling inspired to continue the journey on their own.
Me too.
So if you're ready to delve deeper into the 4 agreements,
Pick up a copy of the book.
reread the excerpts you sent us.
Or share this episode with someone who might benefit from its wisdom. We've provided a link in the show notes where you can purchase the book if you're interested.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts.
So feel free to reach out to us on social media.
Or leave a comment on our website.
And if you're enjoying these deep dives,
Be sure to subscribe to our channel.
we've got a whole library of thought-provoking content waiting to be explored.
So until next time,
Keep diving deep.
it's questioning
Keep rowing.
and keep believing in your own power to create a life of true freedom and happiness.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.